Andrew gave away his last $5 to save a kid's life. 24 hours later, a billionaire offered him $8 million. But there was a catch. The man standing in front of Andrew's homeless tent wasn't just any billionaire. His hands were shaking. His voice broke when he spoke. 25 years ago, I slept right there. He pointed at the concrete pillar. A stranger gave me $20. One sentence, it changed everything. Andrew's chest tightened. Yesterday, you saved my son, same spot. You gave him $5. The billionaire's eyes locked onto his. And you said something. The exact words that stranger told me, word for word. He pulled out a contract. I've searched for that man my whole life. Never found him. His hand trembled as he held out the paper. But yesterday, when my son repeated what you said, I realized something. This wasn't about gratitude. It was about a debt 25 years old. Andrew Davis woke at 5 in the morning. Not because he wanted to, because 3 years on the streets had rewired his body. Sleep light, wake early, stay alert. He folded his blanket into a tight square. Military corners. His father taught him that 40 years ago. Some habits die hard. Some habits keep you human when everything else tries to strip that away. The underpass was quiet. 12 people lived here. 12 tents in a row under the highway. Cars roared overhead every few seconds. After a while, you stopped hearing them. Andrew walked to the public water fountain 3 blocks east, washed his face. The water was ice cold. October in the city meant mornings that bit. He didn't mind. Cold meant awake. Awake meant alive. Walter's tent sat next to his. The old man was already up. 68 years old, white beard down to his chest, former high school English teacher. Walter had been here 15 years, Andrew only 3. Morning, Walter said. His voice was rough. Too many winters breathing car exhaust. Morning? Coffee? If you're buying. Walter smiled. They both knew neither of them was buying. The joke was tradition. Andrew had been someone once, a carpenter, a good one. He'd built kitchen cabinets that people showed off to their friends, custom bookshelves, a dining table for a mayor's house. Then 2008 hit. The economy collapsed. Construction stopped. His shop died. His marriage died 6 months after that. The house went to the bank. His daughter stopped returning his calls. 3 years ago, he'd walked into this underpass with a backpack and a sleeping bag. He thought it would be temporary. Temporary became permanent faster than he expected. But he'd found something here. Community. Strange word for a place like this. But that's what it was. People looked out for each other, shared food, kept each other warm, kept each other sane. Yesterday afternoon, Andrew had been collecting cans. Aluminum paid 5 cents a pound. It wasn't much. But much was relative when you had nothing. He'd filled half a garbage bag when he heard it. A voice, young, scared. Please, just take it, don't hurt me. Andrew's body moved before his brain caught up. He dropped the bag, followed the voice into the darker section of the underpass, the part people avoided. 3 young men had a boy cornered, maybe 10 years old, collared shirt, nice shoes, the kind of kid who didn't belong in this neighborhood. One of them grabbed the boy's phone, another shoved him against the concrete wall. What else you got, rich boy? Andrew stepped forward. Let him go. All 3 turned. They were young, early 20s, the kind of desperate that made people dangerous. The tallest one laughed. Old man, walk away. This isn't your business. It is now. Andrew's voice was calm, flat. He'd learned something living here. Fear was a smell. If you didn't show it, sometimes predators moved on to easier prey. You want to be a hero? The tall one pulled a knife, 4 inches, serrated edge. Heroes get hurt. Andrew didn't move, didn't blink. Just looked at him, through him. The silence stretched. 5 seconds, 10. The young man's hand wavered. It's not worth it, Andrew said quietly. Whatever you think you're getting from him, it's not worth what comes after. Something in his tone made them hesitate. Maybe they saw something in his eyes. Maybe they just realized this wasn't going to be easy. The tall one spat on the ground. Whatever, kid's not worth it anyway. They walked away, fast, like they were trying to save face. Andrew waited until they disappeared. Then he turned to the boy. You hurt? The boy shook his head, but his hands were shaking. His shirt was torn at the collar. Tears streaked his face. What's your name? Ethan. The voice was barely a whisper. "Okay, Ethan, let's get you out of here." Andrew led him back to the main street, 3 blocks. The boy didn't say anything, just walked beside him, kept looking back like the young men might return. At the corner, Andrew pulled out his phone, ancient flip phone, prepaid. He dialed a taxi company. "Where do you live?" he asked Ethan. The boy gave an address. North Side, expensive neighborhood, 20 minutes away. When the taxi arrived, Andrew opened the door. Then he reached into his pocket. $5. Everything he had. He'd been saving it for dinner. He pressed it into Ethan's hand. "Go home. Your parents are probably worried sick." Andrew paused. "And remember something. When you can, help someone else, okay?" Ethan looked at the $5 bill, then at Andrew. His eyes were wide. "You're giving this to me? You'll need it more than I do today. What's your name?" "Andrew. Now go. Be safe." The taxi pulled away. Andrew watched until it turned the corner. Then he walked back to the underpass. His stomach growled. Dinner would have to wait. That night, Walter asked about it. News traveled fast in their community. Someone had seen Andrew with the boy. "Kid okay?" Walter stirred instant coffee in a styrofoam cup. "He's fine. Scared, but fine." "His parents rich?" Andrew shrugged. "Don't know. Doesn't matter." "Might matter," Walter said. "Rich people sometimes want to say thank you, with money." Andrew laughed. "I'm not holding my breath." But the next morning, everything changed. Andrew stepped out of his tent at dawn, stretched, the usual ache in his lower back. Then he saw it. A black sedan, brand new, parked at the entrance to the underpass, 30 feet away. A man stood beside it, expensive suit, gray at the temples, maybe late 40s. But the man wasn't walking toward the tents. He was just standing there, looking. His eyes moved slowly across the concrete pillars, the graffiti, the stained walls. His expression was strange. Not disgust, not pity. Something else. Memory. Walter came up beside Andrew, whispered, "Who's that?" "No idea." "Think he's here for you? About the kid?" Andrew didn't answer, because the man had finally turned, and he was walking toward them, slow, deliberate. His hands were shaking. The man stopped 10 feet away. Custom suit, expensive watch, red eyes like he'd been crying. "Mr. Davis?" His voice was quiet but steady. Andrew nodded. "That's me. Richard Sterling." They shook hands, firm grip, professional, but his palm was damp. "My son told me what you did yesterday." Andrew relaxed slightly. "Ethan, he's okay?" "He's fine, because of you." Sterling paused. His eyes drifted past Andrew to the concrete pillar behind the tent. He stared at it, long. His expression changed, something like recognition. "How long have you lived here?" Sterling asked. 3 years. 3 years. Sterling walked toward the pillar, touched it. "I lived here once." Andrew blinked. "Here?" "Right here, this underpass." Sterling's hand pressed against the concrete. "I slept against this pillar for 6 weeks, 25 years ago." Walter had moved closer, standing behind Andrew now, listening carefully. "I was 19, Sterling continued, his voice distant. "Ran away from home. Stupid kid. Thought I knew everything. Had $50. It lasted 3 days." He pointed at the pillar. "I slept here. August. No food. People walked past like I was invisible." Andrew knew that feeling. Everyone here did. "One night, 3 men jumped me." Sterling pointed to the darker section, the same place Andrew had found Ethan. "They wanted my shoes. That's all I had worth anything. One pulled a knife, cut me here." He touched his side. "I thought I was dying, 19 years old. Over sneakers." The underpass went silent. Then someone stepped out. An old man, maybe 70, gray beard, very thin. He didn't yell, just stood there and said calmly, "Leave him alone. He's just a kid." Walter's breathing changed. Sharp, quick. They laughed at first, aft. But something about the old man made them nervous. "They left," Sterling's voice cracked. "He helped me up, checked my cut. Then he reached into his pocket, pulled out a $20 bill. I could tell it was everything he had." Andrew's throat tightened. "He gave it to me. Said, 'Get yourself some food. Find shelter. But remember something. When you can, help someone else.'" The words hit like a physical blow. Sterling pulled out his phone, showed Andrew a photo. Ethan at home, safe, smiling. "Yesterday my son told me what happened, what you did, what you said to him." Andrew's heart was racing now. He remembered every word. "When you can, help someone else." Same phrase, same spot where I was saved, 25 years later. That's just coincidence, Andrew said weakly. Is it? Sterling's voice was intense now. I spent 25 years looking for that old man. Searched every shelter in the city, came back here dozens of times, asked everyone, never found him. His voice broke completely. I wanted to thank him, show him I made it, that his $20 worked, that everything he believed about me was right. He steadied himself. That money bought me a meal. First food in 4 days. I sat in a diner for 3 hours. The owner noticed me, offered me a dishwashing job, minimum wage, cash under the table. I took it. Sterling looked at the sky. From there, I worked every shift they gave me, saved everything. Got into community college on a scholarship, transferred to State University, then business school. He turned back to Andrew. Built my first company at 28. Sold it for $8 million at 32. Started Sterling Technologies at 35. 1,200 employees now. Government contracts. International clients. Andrew had heard of Sterling Technologies. Big name. Big money. But I never forgot that $20. Never forgot what he told me. Sterling's eyes were locked on the pillar. Every year on August 15th, the day he saved me, I come back here. Walk around. Look at faces. Hope maybe I'll recognize him. 25 years of coming back. Never found him. Maybe he's still out here somewhere, Andrew offered. Sterling shook his head slowly. He'd be 95 now, if he survived this long living on the streets. He didn't finish the thought. Didn't need to. Everyone here knew the statistics, knew how long people lasted. I accepted years ago that I'd never find him, that I'd never get to say thank you, never show him what his kindness created. Sterling stepped closer to Andrew. His eyes were sharp, focused. But yesterday, when my son came home and told me what you said, those exact words, in this exact spot, I realized something. Andrew waited. Maybe I wasn't supposed to find that old man. Maybe the universe works differently. Maybe I was supposed to find you. I don't understand what you're asking me. I'm not asking anything, not yet. Sterling pulled out a business card, thick paper, embossed lettering. He placed it carefully on the cardboard box beside Andrew's tent. I need 3 days. 3 days to put something together. Something real. Not charity, not a handout. Something that would honor what that man did for me. What you did for my son. What are you talking about? Sterling looked around at the underpass. At Walter standing behind Andrew. At Tommy and Maria and Sam watching from their tents. At all of them. I'm talking about paying forward a debt I can never pay back. I'm talking about doing something the right way, the way he would have wanted. Sterling started walking toward his car. 3 days. I'll come back with a proposal, something I think you're going to want to hear. He opened the car door, paused, looked back one more time. That old man gave me a chance when I had absolutely nothing, when everyone else looked through me like I was invisible. You gave my son safety when you had nothing, when you could have walked away. His voice was firm now, clear. I can't repay that man, but I can do something for you, something bigger than both of us, something that keeps his kindness alive. The black sedan pulled away, smooth, silent, gone. Andrew stood there. The business card felt heavy in his hand. His mind was spinning with questions. Walter moved up beside him, close. His hand touched Andrew's shoulder. His voice was barely above a whisper, shaking. That story he just told us, about the old man who saved him. Andrew turned to look at him. What about it? Walter's eyes were filled with tears. His hands were trembling. He looked at the concrete pillar, at the exact spot Sterling had pointed to, where he'd slept 25 years ago. Andrew, Walter said quietly. I was that old man. 3 days felt like 3 weeks. Andrew couldn't stop thinking about it, about Sterling's story, about Walter's confession, about how a circle had closed after 25 years. Walter had told him everything that first night, the teaching career at Lincoln High, his wife Sarah dying of cancer, the drinking that followed, losing his job at 53, the house foreclosed, 15 years on these streets, and that August night when he gave his last $20 to a scared kid. Never told anyone, Walter had said. What's the point? Just one kid. But that kid remembered everything. The morning of day 3 arrived cold and gray. Andrew woke at 4:30, couldn't sleep. His mind kept spinning with questions and fears. He walked to the public fountain 3 blocks east, washed his face in freezing water, tried to think clearly. When he returned, the black sedan was already parked at the underpass entrance. Sterling stood beside it, holding a leather briefcase. Professional. Expensive. Ready for business. "Mr. Davis, can we talk?" Andrew gestured at his tent. "This is as private as it gets." Sterling set the briefcase on the cardboard box, opened it carefully, pulled out folders, a laptop, architectural drawings rolled tight. "What is this?" "Second Chance Workshop." Sterling unrolled the first drawing. The blueprint showed a large industrial building. High ceilings, open floor, multiple workstations, equipment everywhere, tool storage, classrooms in back, break room, offices. "Vocational training center," Sterling explained. "Carpentry, electrical, plumbing, welding, real certifications that lead to real jobs." Andrew studied the professional plans. "This looks expensive. 2 million startup, 1 million yearly operating costs," Sterling said it calmly. "I can fund that. What I need is expertise. Hire professional teachers. I have teachers. Certified electrician, licensed plumber, welding instructor." Sterling tapped the carpentry section. "But this needs someone who knows the trade, who lived it, who understands these people." Andrew's stomach dropped. "You want me to teach?" "No, I want you to build the program, design curriculum, choose equipment, hire instructors, run everything. I'm not qualified. You're the only one qualified." Sterling pulled out more documents. "I can hire people with degrees. They'll build something pretty that fails. You know what actually works. Nobody takes homeless people seriously. They will when they see results." Sterling opened the laptop, showed spreadsheets, numbers, projections. "This isn't charity business model. We train people free. They get jobs. Pay back 10% first-year salary. That funds next class. Sustainable." The math worked. Andrew could see it. "My proposal." Sterling handed him a contract. Multiple pages. Official. "You become co-founder, 30% ownership, equal decision authority on carpentry and trainee welfare, salary $60,000 annually." Andrew's brain stopped. $60,000? Below market for program director, but fair start. Year 2, we renegotiate based on results. I have no money to invest. You invest expertise, experience, credibility. Sterling leaned forward. "If I tell homeless people trust me, they laugh. But you tell them you got out, they listen. That's worth more than money." Andrew's hands shook slightly. "Why not Walter? He saved you." "Walter's 70. I need someone for 10 years minimum." Sterling's voice softened. "But Walter gets a role, important role." "What role?" "Chief community advisor, 25,000 yearly, connects with people, builds trust, mentors graduates. He's the bridge." Andrew looked at the contract, his name typed at the top. "This is real? Building secured, 5-year lease. Contractors start Monday." Sterling's eyes were intense. "Doing this with or without you, better with you. What's the catch? You need an apartment, professional clothes, stable address." Sterling pulled out keys. "Not for appearances, for trainees. They need to see the path works." "You want me to leave here? I want you to move forward." Sterling held up the keys. "Furnished apartment, 6 months paid, 3 blocks from workshop, 10 blocks from here." Andrew looked at his tent, at Walter's beside it. 3 years of community. "You'll visit often? Recruiting? Building relationships?" Sterling stood. "But you can't live both worlds. You're the bridge. The proof it works." Andrew stared at the papers, his future in blueprints and numbers. "I need time to think." "Take it. But answer by Friday noon. Contractors start Monday." Sterling packed everything except the keys. 25 years ago, someone gave me $20 in hope. I'm offering you the chance to give that to thousands. Not one kid. Thousands." The sedan pulled away smooth and silent. Andrew sat there holding keys that felt impossibly heavy. Walter emerged from his tent. He'd heard everything. Looked at the keys, at Andrew's face. "He made an offer." Andrew nodded. "Good one. Too good. I don't understand it." Walter sat slowly. His knees creaked. "Guilt is powerful. He searched 25 years for me. Never found me. You're his second chance to pay the debt. But leaving means leaving you, leaving everyone here." Walter was quiet a long time, then spoke carefully. "What are you really afraid of?" "Failing, letting everyone down." "No," Walter's voice cut sharp. "You're afraid of succeeding. Afraid of leaving this safe corner where nobody expects anything anymore. The words stung because they were true. Walter stood slowly. Think about it. But remember Ethan, one kid yesterday. Now imagine doing that for 100 people, 1,000. He walked back to his tent without looking back. Andrew sat there as morning became afternoon. The keys sat on the cardboard box, challenging him. Tommy stopped by around noon. Young guy, 32, been here 8 months. Yo, man, you taking that? You should totally take it. This is huge. Maria came next, 55, cautious by nature, been here 5 years. Just be careful. Rich people always want something eventually. Always. Even Sam shuffled over, 63, the quiet one. Been here longest of anyone, 12 years. He just shook his head. You leave, you don't come back. That's how it always goes. Seen it before. That night, Andrew lay in his tent staring at the fabric ceiling. Couldn't sleep. The keys sat on his sleeping bag, mocking him, daring him, testing him. Walter's words kept playing in his head. Afraid of leaving this safe corner. Was that what he was doing? Actually hiding here? Using community and loyalty as an excuse not to risk anything real? He thought about Ethan's terrified face, about pressing $5 into small hands, about 7 words that apparently meant everything to that kid. What if he could multiply that? Scale it up, turn one moment into a movement? What if Walter was absolutely right about everything? Friday morning arrived cold and clear. Andrew made his decision. Picked up his phone with shaking hands, dialed Sterling's number. I'll do it, but I have conditions. I'm listening. Sterling's voice was steady. Walter gets that advisor position. Full salary, full benefits, non-negotiable. Agreed. First location has to be this neighborhood, right here, where people living here can actually walk to it. Already planned exactly that way. And I get full veto power on trainee decisions. If something doesn't serve them, I kill it. No arguments. Long silence. Andrew held his breath. That's asking for significant power, Sterling said slowly. That's my condition for saying yes. More silence. 5 seconds. 10. Deal, Sterling said finally. When can you start? Andrew looked at his tent one last time. At 3 years of barely surviving, at a life built from nothing. Monday morning, he said. Walter had been standing outside listening to everything. When Andrew hung up, the old man smiled wide, genuine, proud. I'm proud of you, kid. Andrew's throat was tight, hard to speak. I'm absolutely terrified. Good, Walter said firmly. That means it actually matters. If you weren't scared, it wouldn't be worth doing. Andrew packed that afternoon. Didn't have much. 3 years of life fit in 2 garbage bags. Clothes, the sleeping bag, his father's pocket watch, a few books, some tools he'd kept. The apartment was small but clean, furnished, real bed, working kitchen, hot water. Andrew stood in the shower for 20 minutes. First hot shower in 3 years. He cried and didn't know why. Sunday night he couldn't sleep in the real bed. Too soft, too quiet. He lay on the floor with his sleeping bag. That felt right. Monday morning at 7, Andrew stood outside the workshop building. Sterling was already there. Contractor trucks lined the street. Ready? Sterling asked. Andrew looked at the building, at his future. Ready, he said. They walked in together. Monday morning felt surreal. Andrew stood outside the workshop building at 7:30, 3 blocks from his new apartment, 10 blocks from the underpass, the apartment. He'd moved in Sunday afternoon, 20 minutes. Everything fit in 2 garbage bags. The apartment was small, studio, real bed, kitchen, hot water. He'd stood in the shower half an hour. First hot shower in 3 years, he'd cried. Sunday night, he couldn't sleep in the bed. Too soft. He'd pulled the sleeping bag onto the floor. That felt right. Now he stood looking at the building. Large, industrial. Contractor trucks lined the street. Men in hard hats unloading equipment. Sterling's car pulled up. Ready? Andrew nodded. They walked in together. Massive space. Empty. Concrete floors, high ceilings. Sterling introduced him to the contractor, the architect, people whose names Andrew forgot. They called him co-founder. He felt like an imposter. Carpentry section first, the contractor said. 4 weeks. 4 weeks to design curriculum, choose equipment, figure out what he was doing. That afternoon, he went back to the underpass. Needed to see Walter. The sedan dropping him off caused stares. He walked to his old spot. The tent still there, empty now. Strange seeing it from outside. Walter was reading, looked up, studied Andrew. You look different. Andrew looked down. Clean clothes Sterling bought. Jeans, button down, new boots. Feel different. Good different. Scared different. Walter set the book down. Sit. Tell me. Andrew sat on the concrete. Familiar. Grounding. He told Walter everything. The building, the plans, how Sterling wanted Walter as chief community advisor starting next month. Walter listened. When Andrew finished, he was quiet. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. And you want me there. I need you there. You're the bridge. People trust you. Walter's eyes were wet. $25,000 a year? Plus benefits, health insurance, dental. Walter laughed, short, shocked. I haven't had insurance in 15 years. You will now. Silence. Then Walter said quietly, people are going to be angry. What people? Here, some of them. They'll think you sold out. Andrew's chest tightened. I'm not abandoning anyone. I know, but jealousy is powerful and so is fear. Fear of what? Of being left behind. Tommy walked over. 32, usually friendly, but his face was hard now. So it's true. You took the rich guy's money. Andrew stood. It's not like that. What's it like then? Tommy's voice was sharp. You got an apartment, new clothes, playing businessman while we're still here. Tommy, listen. No. We had your back 3 years. Shared food. Now you're gone. I'm right here. For how long? Then you'll forget us. They always do. Maria walked over. 55. Been here 5 years. Always kind. But her face was closed now. Tommy's right. You don't belong here anymore. That's not fair. I'm doing this to help people. For who? Maria asked. For us? Or for people you haven't met yet? The words cut deep. More people gathered. Sam, Linda, Jorge. Faces Andrew had seen every day. Some looked angry, some hurt, some tired. You think you're better than us now? Sam asked. Been here 12 years? Got your fancy apartment, your salary, your partnership. I never said that. You don't have to. We can see it. Sam gestured at Andrew's clothes. You don't smell like us anymore. Don't look like us. Andrew looked at Walter. Sad, but not surprised. Listen, Andrew tried. The workshop will train people for real jobs, free training, real certifications. Us? Tommy laughed, bitter. You just said us like you're still one of us. You're not. You're one of them now. That's not true. Prove it. Sleep here tonight, in your tent. Andrew hesitated. Just a second. But that second was enough. See? Tommy said. You can't, because you've got a nice apartment waiting. You've already left. I have to live there for the program. The trainees? Maria interrupted. What about us? We're right here, and you're already talking about other people. Andrew felt trapped. I'm trying to do something good. For yourself, Sam said quietly. And that's fine, but don't pretend it's for us. Andrew looked around, saw the hurt, the anger, the jealousy, the fear. He wanted to argue, to explain. But part of what they said was true. He was leaving, moving into a different world. Walter finally spoke. Everyone calm down. Andrew's doing what he needs to do. You're defending him because he's giving you a job too. Tommy shot back. Walter stood, voice firm. I'm defending him because 25 years ago I gave a kid my last $20. That kid became the man funding this workshop. Andrew's doing the same on a bigger scale. That's paying it forward, not selling out. Easy for you to say, you're getting paid too. Yes, and I'll use that money to help people here, get them into the program. Walter looked at Tommy. Including you, if you're interested. Tommy looked away, jaw tight. Andrew's phone buzzed. Sterling, about equipment specifications. The fact that he had a working phone, someone texting about business. It felt wrong. I should go, Andrew said quietly. Yeah, Tommy said. You should. Andrew walked away, felt their eyes on his back. 2 blocks away, he stopped, leaned against a building, hands shaking. Phone buzzed again. Sterling, work to do, decisions to make. Andrew took a deep breath, texted back. Then he kept walking toward his new life. Behind him, the underpass felt further than 10 blocks. 3 days passed. Andrew threw himself into work, met with contractors, reviewed equipment catalogs, sketched curriculum outlines, stayed busy so he wouldn't think about the underpass, about the faces, about Tommy's words. But Walter hadn't called, hadn't come by the workshop. Andrew had texted twice. No response. Thursday morning, Andrew couldn't take it anymore. He drove to the underpass at 6. Walter's tent was empty. Not just empty, cleared out. All his things gone. Andrew's stomach dropped. He walked to Tommy. "Where's Walter?" Tommy barely looked at him. "Gone." "Gone where?" "Don't know. Left yesterday morning, took everything." Andrew felt panic rising. "Did he say anything?" "Said he needed to think. That's it." Tommy walked away. Andrew asked everyone. Linda hadn't seen him. Sam didn't know. Maria just shook her head sadly. He spent the day searching. Shelters, the library, the places Walter used to go. Nothing. That night, Andrew lay on his apartment floor, unable to sleep. Walter was 70 years old, 15 years on the streets. Where would he go? Then he remembered. Something Walter had said once, about the park, the school where he taught. 8 blocks from the underpass. Friday morning at dawn, Andrew went there. The park was small, playground equipment, benches, empty this early. Walter sat on a bench facing the old school building across the street. Red brick, 3 stories, windows dark. Andrew walked over slowly, sat down beside him, said nothing. They sat in silence for 5 minutes. 10. Finally, Walter spoke. "I taught there for 23 years, room 304, 3rd floor, corner window. I could see this park from my desk." Andrew waited. "Used to eat lunch here sometimes, when the weather was nice. Sarah would pack me sandwiches. We'd been married 30 years. She knew exactly how I liked them. Turkey, mustard, no mayo, lettuce, but no tomato." Walter's voice was steady but distant. "She died in April. Spring. Everything blooming. Seemed wrong somehow, like the world should have been gray." He paused. "I started drinking in May. By June, I couldn't teach straight. By August, they fired me. I don't blame them. I was a mess." Andrew had never heard this much detail. Walter usually kept things surface level. "Lost the house that winter. I came back here, to this bench. Sat here 3 days straight, trying to decide if I wanted to keep going." "What made you decide to keep going?" "Didn't really decide. Just kept waking up, one day after another. Eventually, I stopped coming here. Too painful. Went to the underpass instead. 15 years ago now." Walter turned to look at Andrew for the first time. His eyes were red, tired. "I'm not angry at you for succeeding, Andrew. I want you to understand that." "Then why did you leave?" "Because I'm angry at myself for failing." Walter's voice cracked. "I had 23 years to make a difference. A classroom full of kids every single year, hundreds of students. And what did I do with it? I taught them about Shakespeare and Hemingway, important stuff, but I didn't change any lives. Not really. Not the way I could have." "You changed Sterling's life, 25 years ago. One kid, one night. Pure accident." Walter shook his head. "You know what kills me? That was the only time I actually helped someone in a way that mattered. Not in my 23 years of teaching, not in my 15 years on the streets. Just that one random night. One kid." Andrew started to speak, but Walter held up his hand. "Let me finish. I've been thinking about this for 3 days straight. Really thinking. And I finally understand what's been eating at me." He turned to face Andrew directly. "When Sterling showed up, when he told that story, I felt something I hadn't felt in 15 years. I felt like maybe my life had meant something. Like maybe that one moment justified everything else. All the failure, all the waste." Walter's hands were shaking now. "But then I watched you. Watched you make a real choice. Take a real risk. Build something that could help hundreds of people. Thousands, maybe. And I realized something. You were doing what I should have done 30 years ago. What I could have done. If I'd been braver. If I'd cared more about impact than comfort." "Walter, no, listen, because this is important." Walter's voice was firm now. Sharp. 3 days ago at the underpass, I watched you stand there while everyone attacked you. And you know what you did? You hesitated. When Tommy told you to prove yourself by sleeping in your tent, you hesitated. I had to think. You hesitated because part of you wanted to say yes. Part of you wanted to crawl back into that tent and stay there where it's safe, where nobody expects anything, where failure is already built in. The words hit hard. "And I recognize that hesitation," Walter continued. "Because I've been living in that hesitation for 15 years, choosing comfort over impact, choosing safety over risk, telling myself I was being loyal to the community when really I was just being scared." Andrew's throat was tight. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I love you like a son, And because I love you, I'm going to tell you the truth. Walter's eyes were fierce now, intense. If you don't take this opportunity, if you don't commit fully to this workshop, you're not being loyal to us. You're being selfish. You're choosing 50 people who make you feel safe over 5,000 people who need you. Andrew felt like he'd been punched. Tommy was right about one thing, Walter said. You don't belong at the underpass anymore. Not because you're better than us, but because you have a different calling now, and trying to live in both worlds means you'll fail at both.
But what about you? What about everyone there? What about us?
Walter's voice was sharp. You think we're so fragile we can't survive without you? We survived before you showed up. We'll survive after you leave. But those 5,000 people who could learn a trade, get real jobs, change their lives, they won't survive without what you're building. Andrew's eyes burned. He blinked hard. I came here to this bench to remember who I used to be, Walter said quietly. To remember what I could have been, and I decided something. I'm 70 years old. I can't get those years back, but I can stop you from making the same mistake. He stood up slowly, stiff, old. You've been waiting for my permission, for me to tell you it's okay to move forward, so here it is, move forward. Build something that matters. Don't look back, and don't you dare feel guilty about it. Walter started walking away. Where are you going? Andrew called after him. Walter turned back, smiled for the first time. Back to the underpass to pack my stuff. Sterling said I start Monday, right? Chief Community Advisor. I need an apartment too, and I need to start recruiting people for your first class. Our first class, Andrew said. No. Walter shook his head. Yours. I'm just the bridge. You're the builder. Don't forget that. He walked away slowly, left Andrew sitting on the bench alone. Andrew looked at the old school building, at the park, at the place where Walter had once been someone different. His phone buzzed. Sterling. The equipment order was ready for final approval. Needed Andrew's signature today. Andrew stood up, took a deep breath, texted back. On my way. Then he walked toward the workshop, toward his future, without looking back. 6 weeks later, the carpentry section was complete. Andrew stood in the middle of it. Workbenches lined the walls, table saws, band saws, drill presses, hand tools on pegboards, everything he'd chosen. The space smelled like fresh wood and possibility. Sterling walked in with his legal team, 3 lawyers in expensive suits, briefcases and tablets, ready for final contract signing. Impressive, Sterling said. You built something real. Andrew had learned something in 6 weeks. Sterling respected directness. So he said it straight. We need to talk before I sign. Sterling nodded to his lawyers. They stepped back. Talk. I need guarantees, real ones, not words you can interpret later. What guarantees? Decision-making power. The contract says I have equal authority on carpentry and trainee welfare. But what does that mean? Who decides when we disagree? That's what the board is for. You control the board. You own 70%. If we disagree, you win. That's not equal. One of the lawyers stepped forward. Mr. Davis, that's standard corporate structure. Andrew cut him off. I don't care about standard. I care about what's right for the people we're helping. Sterling held up his hand, silenced the lawyer. Keep talking. I want veto power, real veto power, on anything affecting trainees, how we teach them, what we require. If something doesn't serve them, I kill it. No board vote, no override. The lawyers looked uncomfortable. Sterling was quiet. That's significant control. Yes, I could hire someone more flexible. You could, but you won't get the same results. Andrew held his ground. You said you needed someone who couldn't be bought. Someone who'd tell you truth. This is truth. If you want me to do this right, I need power to protect these people, even from you. Sterling smiled slightly. Even from me. Especially you. You're good, but you're rich. Been rich long. You don't remember what it's like, what they need, what they fear. And you do. I lived it 3 years. I won't let anyone, including you, turn this into something that looks good but fails. Sterling walked to a workbench, ran his hand along the wood. What else? Community Advisory Board, minimum 5 people, all current or former homeless. Real power. They can veto policies affecting trainees, and they get paid. $15,000 yearly each. The lead lawyer spoke. That's $75,000 overhead. I can do math. Sterling interrupted. He looked at Andrew. What else? Profit sharing. When trainees pay back, 10% goes into a fund, controlled by the advisory board. They decide how to use it. Not you, not me, them. You're asking me to give away control. I'm asking you to trust the people we're helping. If we don't trust them with money, how can we trust them with anything? Sterling was quiet for a long time. The lawyers shifted. One checked his watch. Finally, Sterling spoke. My father told me when I started my first company, never give away control. Control everything or lose everything. He looked at Andrew. He was wrong. I built 3 companies ignoring his advice. I found people smarter than me in specific areas. Gave them real power. It scared me every time, and every time it worked. He turned to his lawyers. Add everything he said. Veto power for Andrew on trainee issues. Advisory board with veto authority. Profit-sharing fund controlled by the board. Make it legally binding. No loopholes. The lawyers looked pained. Mr. Sterling, that's irregular. Do it. And draft his compensation up to $80,000 starting salary. Annual reviews tied to program outcomes, not profit. Andrew blinked. I didn't ask for more money. I know, that's why you're getting it. You asked for power to protect people, not money to enrich yourself. That tells me everything. Sterling extended his hand. Deal? Andrew shook it. Deal. But one more thing. There's always one more thing. The first class. I recruit them from the underpass. From people who know me, who don't trust this yet. How many? 20 people, 4-month intensive. If 15 graduate and get jobs, we expand. If not, we rethink. Fair. When start? Monday, with Walter. The lawyers spent an hour drafting amendments. Andrew read every word, asked questions, made them clarify. They looked annoyed. Sterling looked amused. Finally, Andrew signed. His hand shook slightly. His signature on a document worth millions. Sterling signed next, shook Andrew's hand again. Don't make me regret this power. Don't make me regret taking it. Sterling laughed. The door opened. A small figure slipped in. Ethan, 10 years old, wide eyes. Dad, you said I could see it. Sterling's face softened. Come here. Ethan walked over slowly, looked at the equipment, then at Andrew. Recognition dawned. You're the man, from that night. Andrew knelt to his level. That's right. And you're the kid who remembered. When you can, help someone else. Ethan said it carefully. Exactly. Is this place for that? For helping people? Andrew looked around. Yes, this place is for that. Ethan smiled. Can I help too? Sterling put his hand on his son's shoulder. When you're older. But I want to help now. Andrew thought. You know what would help? If you came sometimes, talked to students, reminded them someone believed in them. That kindness matters. Think you could do that? Ethan nodded seriously. I can do that. Then you're part of the team. Ethan shook Andrew's hand. Formal, copying his father. But his smile was pure kid. As Sterling led Ethan out, the boy turned. Mr. Andrew? Yeah? Thank you for saving me. Thank you for giving me a reason to. The door closed. Andrew stood alone in the workshop. Tomorrow, he'd start recruiting. Start the real work. Start proving this could work. But tonight, in this moment, standing in the space he'd built with his vision and Sterling's trust, Andrew felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not hope. Bigger than hope, purpose. 18 months later, Second Chance Workshop opened its doors. Walter cut the ribbon. Chief Community Advisor, salary, benefits, small office. He cried. The first class had 20 people, 12 from the underpass, 8 from elsewhere. Tommy enrolled in electrical training, got certified. Now he teaches beginners. Sterling showed up opening day, stood in back, quiet. When a reporter asked if he was proud, he said, I'm grateful. Someone gave me $20 in one sentence 25 years ago. Look what it became. Ethan, now 12, volunteered Saturdays, helped serve lunch, listened to stories, learning what money couldn't teach. The model worked. Year 2, 2 more locations. Year 3, 5 total. Not all run by Andrew and Sterling, by graduates, people who'd been through it. Walter told Andrew once, you didn't save 50 people. You saved 5,000, because those 50 went out and saved more. Andrew still visited the underpass weekly. Some people had moved on. New faces replaced old ones. But now there was a path out, a real one. Maria graduated 3rd class, got plumbing certification, union job. She sent Andrew a photo of her first apartment, real apartment, her own key. The text said, I was wrong. You didn't abandon us. You built us a ladder. Underscore, 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 underscore. Andrew faced a choice many of us avoid: comfort or impact, staying small where he was safe or growing where he was needed. Walter saw through it, called it fear disguised as loyalty. What's your underpass? Where are you staying because it's comfortable, calling it loyalty when it's fear? Sometimes the people we're helping need us to leave, to grow, to help more people, then come back stronger. The best way to honor those who helped you? Help more people than they could. When will you make that choice? What's holding you back? Let me know what you think.